pretty safe to say that most people out there absolutely love how these smell. You're not going to come across very many people who will give you a negative reaction or say that you smell bad when you have these on, and that's valuable to a lot of people. Some people want to push the envelope and really stand out and use their scent to express themselves in a way that might be different. Other people just want to smell good, and it's that simple. No matter which side of the fence you're on, there's options out there for you. Today we're catering to the guys who just want to take no chances, and you just want to smell clean and fresh and pleasant. Well, some of these aren't really clean and fresh. I mean, we do have a few sweeter winter-style scents in here, but also have a few summer-oriented ones as well. Everybody loves John Varvatos Artisan Blue, and if they haven't smelled it before, and they did smell it, they would like it. You know, I mean, you don't really have to smell it to know that you would like it. It's that simple. It's an aromatic, fresh, spicy citrus scent with a unique twist. More green than blue. Has basil, bergamot, pine, lavender, and a bunch of other notes as well, but it's kind of the main players there. So, you know, this came out before the blue fragrance craze, so this is not like a blue ambroxan scent or anything like that. Like I had mentioned, it has more of an aromatic kind of green nuance to it. Smells more like a spring scent than anything, although of course it can be utilized into summer, and it's a freshie. If you wanted to wear it in fall and winter time, you could do that no problem. It's not going to have the performance to hold up in fall and winter, and for some people the performance isn't going to be adequate enough for them in spring and summer. It's not you know, a 12-14 hour scent like we're kind of getting accustomed to. It's more of your typical performer. I think we've kind of gotten you know, spoiled by some of these mega beast mode scents, which we're going to talk about next. But this one, it's a really good smelling scent, and that's kind of what you buy it for. You don't buy it for the performance. You don't buy it because it's, you know, a niche fragrance or something that's overly unique, even though it does have a unique facet to it. You buy it because it's a good quality scent for a fair price that just smells super pleasant. I think this is $35 or so, maybe $40 on discounters. Really not bad at all. That's your usual John Varvatos pricing. And I mean, it smells like it's double that in terms of quality and everything. It's really, really good. And I would say one of the more slept on John Varvatos scents. You know, typically you hear about Vintage, and at a time it was Dark Rebel Rider, and Artisan Pure. You hear about all those more. Not as much this one, but it's great. So I mentioned Beast Mode a second ago, and I also mentioned Blue Fragrance a second ago. So let's just go ahead and cover one of those. It's Y Eau de Parfum Intense. This might be, as of right now, one of the best Y flankers that is on the market. There are times where I think I like this one better than the original Eau de Parfum, really. And that one has been a very, very good favorite of mine and been in pretty decent rotation ever since it first came out. But this one is kind of pulling ahead of that. It's got sage, juniper berries, vetiver, a little bit of a kind of a spicy ginger kick in here too off the opening. It's YSL Eau de Parfum or Le Parfum minus the apple sweetness, which really kind of opens this one up to a lot more people, because those two can be a little bit too sweet sometimes depending on your taste for summer, and also depending on your climate. If it's really, really hot and really humid all of the time, those just might be a bit too much. So you can kind of go into something like this that still isn't going to be fresh all the way through. They're focusing heavily on the aromatics, and the amberwood in here does give it some of that kind of Y Eau de Parfum signature sweetness a little bit, but the apple in some of those is what really amps it up, and that is non-existent here. For some people, that's the best part. For others, not so much. And I like it both. You know, I like that sometimes. There are other times where this one is just a lot more appealing and a lot more pleasant when it is brutally hot, but also just when I want something that isn't quite as in your face. I think this one has more versatility because of those reasons. I think it's going to be kind of a more broad compliment getter as well, just because you're kind of eliminating potentially an aspect that could be divisive. Even though that did help it to excel, I think this one might do a better job overall, but it depends. I don't think this is going to get nearly as popular as the Eau de Parfum. I don't think any of them will. I think that was kind of the peak hype of the Y lineup, and everything after that's just going to be kind of dependent on what the fragrance community thinks of it, because most people are probably going to be hooked on the Eau de Parfum for a while now outside of the community, and that's going to be what they wear. I don't think this one's going to get nearly as popular, but it is phenomenal. So we're going to jump over to more cooler weather oriented scents here, just a couple of them. It's Le Male Le Parfum. It's got vanilla, cardamom, iris, lavender in here. So, you know, kind of going back to the original, but then throwing in a kind of a oriental spicy twist from the cardamom, and then also a nice smooth, creamy, and sweet iris. This is not an iris scent, so I wouldn't compare it to Dior Homme Intense or Valentino Uomo Intense or any of those, or even Prada L'Homme Fresher, right? Not that prominent, but that note is existing just enough to make itself known, really more or less to give some support to everything else that's going on. You know, the vanilla sweetness and that nice spicy kick off the top, which is my favorite part. I love cardamom. I think it is such an underrated note, even though La Nuit de l'Homme, by far the most popular cardamom scent, which that scent is not underrated. I mean, it's widely popular and known, but outside of that, you don't see the note used as often, or at least to the point where you can really pick up on it a lot. But it works really well in here. Just really kind of spices up, no pun intended, the opening. Just gives it more variety, more texture, and makes it more interesting and more exciting. It's a great performer. It's not a true parfum. It's a Le Parfum, so like an Eau de Parfum Intense. Le Male Elixir is a true parfum, and that one is great as well. Honestly, though, when it comes to just mass appeal, like what we're really talking about, Le Male Le Parfum might have that one beat. It just has more of that compliment factor magic to it that would probably beat that one out. But not to say that the Elixir version wouldn't be, you know, a good compliment getter, because it would. This one's probably more safe. We're going to kind of bump up the price point quite a bit here, although there is a new clone of this one out, so that can kind of even that out if you don't want to pay top dollar for Parfums de Marly Altair. You could go for a Fragrance World Liquid Brun, which is a newer clone of this that just recently came out. So either way, whichever one you want to go with, depending on your price point, is where you can land. But this has become a really, really good winter. But this one has grown on me more than I ever thought it would. And, you know, at this point, I'm not wearing it really because it's summer. But every now and then when I'm down here planning videos or whatever, I'll pick this one up, I'll give it a spray in the air, I'll smell it off the atomizer. I like it more and more each time. It's got bourbon vanilla, cinnamon, praline, and cardamom. It is a very, very sweet, gourmand citric scent. So that's already gonna eliminate a lot of people, and I understand that. That level of sweetness sometimes can be a deterrent, depending on what it is and how it's used. I don't see that as much here as far as the general public. I think from a consumer standpoint, people in the community, this might be too sweet for them. It doesn't really smell masculine. They might not like it. But when it comes to appealing to the general public, just out there in the population, you're not going to find too many people who dislikes this. It's done in a way that it works. Kind of like the Stronger with You's and you know, some of the sweeter Invictus scents, things like that. And I'm not comparing this to those because it doesn't smell like any of those. But that genre, that style, just this kind of edible, vanillic, sweet gourmand style is popular right now for a reason, because it works. That opening smells phenomenal. If you don't like vanilla, if you don't like sweet notes, just stay away from this and you're going to save yourself a lot of money. Should go without saying, but sometimes it has to be said. I like things like that. You know, Mercedes-Benz Club Black is a vanilla heavy scent, and that would be kind of a good way to put this one into that category. There are quite a few differences between them. This one does have more of a gourmand aspect, but if you don't like Club Black, you know, because it's too strong on the vanilla, you're not going to like this either. And Club Black is much more approachable as far as a price point's concerned, you know, $45 to $50. So more people have likely tried that one than this. That's a good way to kind of gauge your interest. But I think this one, it's just going to be loved by a lot of people out there in the world, especially for fall and winter time. It has kind of a cozy, just comforting smell about it. And it's so strong. I did that spray up in the air, which I love. It smells great, but I'm probably going to be smelling that for the rest of the time here. So we're going to come back down to a more affordable price, and I'm talking like $20. And we're also back into the summer scents for a little bit with Cool Water Wave by Davidoff. It's an eau de toilette, and to put it simply, it kind of smells like Invictus Aqua. Invictus Aqua / Mont Blanc Legend Spirit / Wasabi House, right? Although Out of all of those, this is going to be the cheapest. Okay, so Invictus Aqua, out of the picture, it's discontinued, you're paying, inflated eBay prices. The new Invictus Aqua is going to come out at some point. Different story, but that's ahead of ourselves because it's not available yet, right? So that one aside, Rasasi Howis, it's usually around $40 to $45. Legend Spirit, $35, okay? $20. So this one is the cheapest. Now, depending on who you are and what you want, you might just go ahead and spring for Howis or Legend Spirit. But, if you're really wanting to save as much money as you can, this is an option. And not even about saving money either. It could be from the standpoint of you just want a gym scent or something to wear when you're working outdoors and you're going to sweat it off. You're going to go swimming and it's going to get washed off. You're going to go just hop in the shower in a few hours anyway and it's going to get washed off. And why put on something that costs $45 when you can put on something that costs $20? A lot of options. You could throw this in your vehicle, summer, winter, fall, temperature changes are hard on fragrances. They break down quicker. You wouldn't want to do that to an expensive one, but you could do it to something cheaper just to have on hand. Throw it in your gym bag, travel bag, laptop bag, suitcase, whatever. A lot of options for these cheapies, so it just depends on what you're after. But it could also be an everyday signature scent. You don't have to treat this one like it's a throwaway. If you really like how it smells, that's great. I love how it smells, and I think so many other people are going to love it as well. And I don't just think that like it's a known thing that the Invictus Aqua DNA is just a workhorse of a compliment getter. So we're going to bump up the price a little bit. Instead of $20, we're going up to like, $30 to $35. Jimmy Choo Man Ice. The easiest way to describe this one is, Dior Homme Cologne, which is like $100. Well, this smells like that, but for a fraction of the cost. And, Dior Homme Cologne, it's one of my favorite summer scents. I've been a fan of that one for years, but it's going to be out of a lot of people's budget, and especially when you consider the, not necessarily uniqueness, but the fact that it doesn't have as much character as some other Diors, and also the performance. Those are the two main things about it. You pay a premium for something that maybe you feel like you're not getting your full money's worth out of. I feel as though I get my money's worth out of it because I'm biased and I love the fragrance and I've loved it for years. It's kind of that nostalgia effect. But not everybody's going to feel that way. So if you just want something very similar but this isn't going to cost you as much, no reason not to get Jimmy Choo Man Ice. It's citrusy, kind of orangey, musky. Okay, this one has some more woods going on where Dior Homme Cologne does not. But other than that, they are very close and it's great for the high heat. Terre d'Hermès Eau Givree. I don't really see too many people disliking this one. It's got citron, juniper berries, and woody notes. It's by far the most wearable Terre d'Hermès. This and Eau Très Fresh, which is discontinued. And this was released as a replacement to that one. When you start getting into not even just the original, but really going down the line into the Pure Parfum and even Eau Intense Vetiver, those are not going to be liked by 95% of the population. Those do have more of a daring aspect to them. And the fact that they're just very earthy, dry, and woody. Orange, woods, dry. I love them. I think they smell great, but not everybody does. And those are the type of thing that I think are more coveted in the fragrance community. People who want something to stand out and that's unique and a bit more just challenging. We appreciate stuff like that, but it doesn't mean everybody else will. And I'm not saying that they won't get you compliments. That's just foolish to say that because, of course, someone out there is going to like how it smells on you. But again, it's a numbers game. If you want to get the most amount of compliments, you would probably want to go for something like this instead. Last up for this one, we've got Valentino Uomo. An easy one to forget about because Uomo Intense is so popular. And also at this point, they don't care about these anymore, Valentino. They just care about the Born in Roma line. So we've been getting a new Born in Roma every year. Come on, give us something like this again. These are so good. There's even Uomo Noir Absolute, which was discontinued. That was phenomenal. They've had so many good ones, and they don't focus on these anymore. But that's okay because we still have this and we still have Uomo Intense. Those are great. But this one is it's easily slept on. It's got hazelnut, chocolate, coffee, and leather. With a note breakdown like that, how could you not be interested in it? For whatever reason, I put it off for the longest time and I finally got it. And then I was just kicking myself. I'm like, I could have gotten this years ago. And I could have been enjoying it for much longer than I have. But for whatever reason, I didn't. kind of has a really good balance. Believe it or not, it's not all sweet like it looks like on paper. You do get a bit of a freshness here. Definitely not fresh enough to be something considered like a summer scent, but you know, early spring when it's still a little bit chilly outside, fall, you know, through all times of fall and even into winter, this is a phenomenal release. And because it's not too sweet, because it's not too fresh, it just kind of does a little bit of everything. It's a great people pleaser. Alrighty guys, I will link all these down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.